The forbidden boundary. The Lumina's engines hummed with a familiar resonance as Commander Ilara Voss studied the vast emptiness before her. The viewing portal displayed nothing but darkness, an unnatural void where stars should be twinkling. The navigational display blinked incessantly, a crimson warning she had been trained to heed since her first day at the Consortium Academy. "We've reached the boundary, Commander," First Officer Trell reported, his four-fingered hands dancing over the control panel. His skin shimmered with a faint blue luminescence, a trait of the Navari species that always intensified during periods of stress. "The Obsidian Veil. All charts end here." Ilara nodded, tucking a strand of silver-streaked hair behind her ear. After 20 years of exploration missions for the Galactic Consortium, she had mapped countless systems, catalogued thousands of stellar phenomena, but never had she encountered a boundary like this, a perfect line where all stars simply vanished. "Sensors reporting anything?" she asked, leaning forward in her command chair. Science Officer Cora shook her head, the bioluminescent patterns on her scaled skin pulsing with confusion. "Nothing conclusive. There's some kind of interference field, but—" she hesitated, mandibles clicking in concentration. "There's something else. Energy signatures. Faint, but organized. Definitely artificial." "Put it on the main display," Ilara ordered. The screen flickered, showing a scatter of weak energy pulses. What caught Ilara's attention wasn't their strength, but their pattern. Too regular, too precise to be natural. "Communication signals," she wondered aloud. "Unknown," Cora replied, "but they're coming from beyond the veil." Ilara's communicator chirped. "Incoming transmission from Consortium Command," announced the ship's eye. The holographic form of Director Jen materialized on the bridge, his expression severe even through the flickering projection. "Commander Voss, your vessel has reached the boundary zone. You are ordered to terminate your exploration and return to Consortium space immediately." Ilara straightened. "Director, we've detected artificial signals beyond the veil. This could be first contact with—" "There is nothing beyond the veil that concerns the Consortium," Jen interrupted, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Those charts are marked restricted for a reason, Commander. Return. Immediately." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving an uncomfortable silence on the bridge. "Orders, Commander?" Trell asked quietly. Ilara drummed her fingers against the armrest of her chair. 20 years of following orders, of mapping the known universe for the Consortium, 20 years of being the perfect officer. "And yet, prepare to cross the boundary," she said finally. "Minimal power signatures, passive scans only." Trell's bioluminescence flared in alarm. "Commander, Director Jen was quite clear." "I heard him, Trell," Ilara replied, her voice firm but quiet. "But we're explorers. If there's something, or someone, beyond this boundary, we need to know. The Consortium's mission is to expand knowledge, not suppress it." Reluctantly, Trell nodded and relayed the orders. The Lumina's engines shifted to a lower frequency as the ship eased forward, penetrating the darkness of the veil. At first, there was nothing, just the same impenetrable blackness. Then, as if passing through a curtain, stars bloomed across the view screen. Not just stars, but entire systems. Nebulae, planets, a complete cosmic landscape that had been hidden from view. "Incredible," Cora whispered. "It's some kind of massive cloaking field. The entire region is hidden from the rest of the galaxy." Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple vessels approaching," Trell shouted. They appeared out of nowhere. No warp signatures, no subspace distortion. "Defensive posture," Ilara ordered, "but weapons offline. We're here peacefully." The view screen shifted to show 3 sleek vessels converging on their position. Their design was unlike anything in the Consortium database. Angular, with matte black hulls that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, highlighted by pulsing blue energy lines running along their length. "They're scanning us," Cora reported. "Their technology. It's piercing through our shields as if they weren't even there. Open a communication channel, Ilara instructed. All frequencies, universal translator engage. Before she could broadcast a greeting, the Lumina shuddered violently. The lights flickered, and the engines went silent. We're caught in some kind of energy field, Trell reported, panic edging into his voice. All systems are being suppressed. We're completely immobilized. A new voice filled the bridge, deep, authoritative, speaking in a language the translator took a moment to process. Consortium vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your ship is now under our control. Do not attempt to resist. Ilara exchanged glances with her officers. First contact situations were delicate, especially when you were the one at a disadvantage. This is Commander Ilara Voss of the Galactic Consortium exploration vessel Lumina, she responded, keeping her voice steady. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and exchange. A bitter laugh answered her. The Consortium doesn't seek knowledge, Commander. It buries it. Before she could respond, the view screen changed again. One of the black ships had moved closer, and a docking tube was extending toward the Lumina's airlock. Prepare to be boarded, the voice continued. Any resistance will be met with immediate neutralization. Ilara stood from her command chair. All personnel, stand down. No aggressive actions. She turned to Trell. First officer, you have the bridge. I'll meet our guests at the main airlock. The corridor to the airlock felt longer than usual as Ilara walked with measured steps, two security officers trailing behind her. The ship's emergency lighting cast everything in a dim red glow, adding to the tension. When the airlock cycled open, Ilara found herself facing four figures in sleek armored suits. The design was functional, militaristic, with no decorative elements or species identifiers. Each helmet featured an opaque visor that revealed nothing of the wearer. The tallest figure stepped forward, removing their helmet with a soft hiss of releasing pressure. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. The face that emerged was human. Not just humanoid like many consortium species, but specifically human. A species that existed only in historical archives, supposedly extinct for centuries after their homeworld had been destroyed in an early interstellar war. The human was male, with dark skin and close-cropped hair peppered with gray at the temples. A network of faint scars traced the left side of his face, and his eyes, sharp, evaluating, fixed on Ilara. Commander Voss, he said, his voice matching the one from the communication. I am Admiral Marcus Chen of the Terran Defense Force. Your vessel is now under our jurisdiction. Ilara struggled to keep her composure. Terran. As in Earth? That's impossible. Earth was destroyed nearly 500 years ago during the Consortium's early expansion. A cold smile touched Chen's lips. Is that what they taught you at the Academy, Commander? That we were wiped out? A convenient story. He gestured to his soldiers, who began moving through the ship with practiced efficiency. Your crew will not be harmed if they cooperate. You, however, will be coming with me. The Council wishes to speak with the Consortium commander who dared cross the veil. What council? Ilara demanded, even as two soldiers flanked her. What is this place? Why is this region hidden from the rest of the galaxy? Chen studied her for a long moment, as if weighing how much to reveal. This is human space, Commander. The real human space, not the sanitized history your Consortium has fed you. And soon, you'll understand why we've kept ourselves hidden, and why that's about to change. As Ilara was escorted toward the docking tube, she caught glimpses of her crew being assembled in the main hall, looking confused and frightened. Whatever she had expected to find beyond the veil, it wasn't this, a supposedly extinct species with technology that rendered Consortium defenses useless. The docking tube led to a vessel that hummed with power. Unlike the utilitarian corridors of Consortium ships, this one featured sleek designs and technology that seemed to anticipate their presence, doors sliding open before they reached them, lighting adjusting automatically to their movement. They entered what appeared to be a command center, smaller than the luminous bridge, but far more advanced. Holographic displays functioned without projectors, and the few crew members present operated controls through subtle gestures rather than physical contact. "Welcome to the Hyperion, Commander," Admiral Chen said, motioning her toward a viewing portal. "Take a good look. You're the first consortium official to see this in centuries." As the ship moved, the blackness of the veil fell away completely, revealing a breathtaking vista. A massive orbital structure dominated the view, a ring world spinning slowly, its inner surface gleaming with the lights of a civilization. Ships of various sizes moved in coordinated patterns around it, and behind it all, a blue-green planet shone like a jewel. "New Terra," Chen said, something like pride warming his voice for the first time. "Home to 30 billion humans, and the center of a civilization that spans 200 star systems, all hidden behind the veil, all unknown to your precious consortium." Ilara stared, unable to reconcile what she was seeing with everything she had been taught. How could the consortium not know about this? Chen's expression hardened again. "Because they do know, Commander. They've always known. The question you should be asking is why they've kept it secret, even from their own people." A chill ran down Ilara's spine as the implications began to sink in. If Chen was telling the truth, then the consortium, the governing body she had served faithfully for her entire career, had been systematically erasing an entire civilization from history. "Why am I here?" she asked finally. "What do you want from me?" "From you? Nothing," Chen replied. "But there's something you need to see, something the consortium has been hiding for centuries. And once you see it, Commander Voss, you'll have to decide where your loyalties truly lie." The Hyperion accelerated, leaving the Lumina behind as it carried Ilara deeper into human space and toward a truth that would shatter everything she thought she knew about the galaxy she had spent her life exploring. But as they traveled, one question burned in her mind. If humans had survived and thrived in secret all this time, why reveal themselves now? What had changed to bring them out of the shadows after centuries of isolation? The answer, she suspected, was nothing good for the consortium or for humanity. The truth beyond the stars. The journey through human space was unlike anything Ilara had experienced in her decades of exploration. The Hyperion moved with impossible speed, yet she felt no acceleration, no inertial shift. Outside the viewing portal, stars blurred past in streams of light, but inside, everything remained perfectly stable. "Gravitational isolation field," Admiral Chen explained when he noticed her puzzlement. "It separates the ship's internal spacetime from external forces. One of our earlier innovations." Ilara studied the Admiral as he stood at a control station, conferring quietly with his officers. There was nothing exotic about him. No bioluminescence like Trell, no scales like Cora, just an ordinary human. Yet according to everything she had learned at the Consortium Academy, his entire species should be extinct, a footnote in galactic history. "We're approaching Nova Terra," Chen announced, returning to her side. "Our primary colony world, and the seat of the Human Alliance government." The ship decelerated, and a planet came into view. Blue-green like many habitable worlds, but surrounded by an intricate network of orbital platforms and artificial structures that formed a protective shell around the entire planet. "Your defenses are extensive," Ilara observed. Chen's expression remained neutral. "When you live next to a neighbor who once tried to eradicate your species, you learn to take precautions." Before Ilara could respond to this accusation, the view changed as they began descent through the atmosphere. Gleaming cities spread across the landscape below, connected by transportation tubes that arced over lush forests and winding rivers. Unlike the sprawling, chaotic urban centers of most consortium worlds, these cities appeared to be designed with natural features integrated into their structure. Buildings rose among trees, waterways flowed through urban centers. "It's beautiful," she admitted. "Different from what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Primitive caves. Military bunkers," Chen asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. Honestly, I expected nothing. As far as the consortium is concerned, humans are extinct. The Hyperion landed on a platform extending from a tower that dominated the central city. As they disembarked, Ilara was struck by the crisp, clean air, no trace of the industrial pollutants common on developed worlds. "The council is waiting," Chen said, leading her toward an arched entrance where a group of figures stood in formal attire. Simple but elegant designs in various shades of blue and gray. Inside, they entered a circular chamber with a panoramic view of the city. 7 individuals seated at a crescent-shaped table turned to observe her arrival. They varied in age and appearance, but all possessed the same alert, evaluating gaze as Chen. An older woman with silver hair pulled into a tight knot stood. "Commander Ilara Voss of the consortium vessel Lumina. I am Chancellor Imani Davis of the Human Alliance. Welcome to the space behind the veil." Ilara straightened, years of diplomatic training kicking in. "Thank you for your hospitality, Chancellor, though I must object to the forcible seizure of my vessel and detention of my crew." "Your objection is noted," Davis replied coolly. "However, the veil boundary is clearly marked in all consortium charts as restricted space. You chose to cross it despite explicit warnings." "Because it's my mission to explore." "Your mission," interrupted a younger man at the table, "is to maintain the fiction that the consortium has told you. That humans are extinct. That this region of space is empty." Chancellor Davis raised a hand, silencing him. "What do you know about the Purge, Commander Voss?" Ilara frowned. "The Purge? You mean the Terran conflict? Its ancient history, an unfortunate first contact scenario that escalated into war before proper protocols were established. Earth was rendered uninhabitable, and the surviving humans were integrated into consortium society." The council members exchanged glances, and several gave bitter laughs. "Integrated," Chen repeated, the word dripping with contempt. "Is that what they call it now?" Davis touched a control on the table, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. "Let me show you the real history, Commander, the history the consortium erased." The hologram showed Earth, not destroyed, but surrounded by consortium warships. Scenes shifted rapidly. Human cities under bombardment, civilian transports being targeted, mass executions. "The early consortium didn't want integration," Davis narrated, her voice tight with controlled emotion. "They wanted resources, Earths, and the colonies we had established. When we refused to submit to their authority, they labeled us as dangerous and initiated the Purge, a systematic attempt to eradicate humanity entirely." The images were horrific, too detailed, too specific to be fabricated propaganda. Ilara felt sick as she watched scenes that contradicted everything she had been taught. "Those who could fled beyond what is now the veil," Davis continued. "Using experimental cloaking technology, we established a barrier that hid us from consortium sensors. They believed they had eliminated us entirely, and we let them maintain that belief while we rebuilt in secret." The hologram shifted to show the early human settlements beyond the veil, struggling colonies that gradually expanded into the impressive civilization Ilara had witnessed. "Why show me this?" she asked quietly. "Why now, after centuries of isolation?" Davis deactivated the hologram and fixed Ilara with an unwavering stare. "Because the time for hiding is over, Commander. We need the consortium to know we exist." "Why?" A different council member, an elderly man with dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient knowledge, leaned forward. "Because there's something coming from beyond the galaxy. Something that threatens all of us, human and consortium alike." A new hologram appeared, showing deep space readings of massive objects moving at the edge of the galaxy, objects that defied conventional classification. "We call them harbingers," the elderly counselor explained. "Our long-range sensors detected them 60 years ago. They're unlike anything we've encountered, possibly extragalactic in origin. They consume everything in their path, and their trajectory will bring them to this sector within 5 years." Ilara studied the readings, her scientific training immediately recognizing the gravity of the threat. And you believe the consortium needs to know this, to prepare. We've spent centuries developing technologies the consortium can't imagine, Chen said. But even with our advancements, the Harbinger's numbers may overwhelm us. A united defense might be the only way to survive. Ilara looked from Chen to Davis, understanding dawning. So I'm what? Your messenger? Davis nodded. The consortium leadership knows we exist, Commander. They've always known. But the general population, including most consortium officers like yourself, has been fed the extinction story for generations. If we simply emerge from behind the veil announcing the coming threat, we'd be dismissed as imposters or invaders. But if one of their own, a respected consortium commander, returns with evidence of both our existence and the approaching danger, they might listen, Ilara finished. But what makes you think I'd help you? Even if what you've shown me is true, you've essentially kidnapped me and my crew. Chen stepped forward. Because despite what you've been taught about us, Commander Voss, humans understand something fundamental about survival. It requires adaptation and cooperation. We're offering you the complete truth and a choice. What choice? See for yourself what humanity has become, Davis said. Examine our data on the Harbingers. Then decide whether to return to the consortium carrying our warning or remain behind the veil as it falls. Ilara considered her options. If what they claimed was true, about both human history and the approaching threat, then the implications were staggering. It meant the consortium had been built on a foundation of lies and was now facing extinction without even knowing it. My crew, she said finally. I want them treated as guests, not prisoners, while I consider your proposal. Davis nodded. Admiral Chen will see to it. You'll be given full access to our historical archives and scientific data. Take the time you need, Commander, but understand that time itself is becoming our most precious resource. Over the next 3 days, Ilara immersed herself in human history and scientific discoveries. She toured research facilities that developed technologies centuries beyond consortium standards. Artificial gravity manipulation, consciousness transfer, energy generation that approached perpetual motion. Most impressive was the Sentinel Array, a massive monitoring system that tracked the approaching Harbingers. The data was irrefutable. Something vast and hungry was moving toward the galaxy, consuming everything in its path. On the 4th day, she found herself in a memorial garden with Admiral Chen, standing before a monument dedicated to Earth's lost billions. Have you made your decision? He asked, watching as she traced the names engraved in the shimmering material. If I return to the consortium with this information, there's no guarantee they'll believe me, she said. Even with evidence, the leadership has maintained this lie for too long to admit the truth easily. Chen nodded. We know, but some will listen. Enough, perhaps, to begin preparations. And the veil? You mentioned it falling. We've begun the process of deactivating it section by section, Chen confirmed. Human ships have already moved into position along the border. When the veil fully drops, the galaxy will know we exist, whether the consortium acknowledges us or not. Ilara turned to face him. I'll need my ship, my crew, and every piece of evidence you can provide. A hint of a smile crossed Chen's normally stern features. You'll return then. I'm a consortium commander, Admiral. My duty is to report threats to galactic security. The fact that the threat includes both the Harbingers and the lies my government has perpetuated doesn't change that duty. She looked back at the memorial, at the billions of names representing lives lost to a conflict she had never truly understood until now. Besides, she added quietly, if humans and the consortium can't find a way past ancient hatreds, the Harbingers won't need to destroy us. We'll have already defeated ourselves. 2 weeks later, the Lumina approached the boundary of the veil. Behind them, a small contingent of human vessels served as escort, a show of cooperation rather than force. On the bridge, Ilara's crew worked alongside human specialists. integrating new technologies that would allow them to pass through the consortium's defensive systems undetected until they reached Central Command. "We're receiving a transmission from consortium patrol vessels," Trell reported, the bioluminescence on his skin pulsing nervously. "They're demanding identification and explanation for our extended absence. Send the response package we prepared," Ilara ordered. "Navigation malfunction. Temporary crew incapacitation due to unknown stellar phenomenon." All by the book. As the Lumina crossed back into consortium space, Ilara stood at the viewing portal, watching as the stars shifted back to their familiar configuration. She carried with her databases of human history, scientific advancements beyond consortium imagination, and definitive proof of the approaching harbingers. More importantly, she carried a simple truth. Survival would require humans and the consortium to confront not just an external threat, but their shared history of violence and deception. "Course set for Consortium Central, Commander," Trell confirmed. Ilara nodded, her resolve hardening. "Maximum speed, First Officer. We have a lot of truth to deliver, and precious little time to prepare for what comes next." Behind the Lumina, sections of the veil began to shimmer and fade, revealing glimpses of the vast human civilization that had flourished in darkness for centuries. Soon, the boundary that had divided the galaxy would be gone completely, and with it, the comfortable lies that had shaped consortium history. As Ilara had learned during her time among humans, the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or weapons, or even the approaching harbingers. It was truth. And truth, once unleashed, could never be contained again. The galaxy was about to learn that the map didn't end in darkness after all. It merely continued into a space where humans had been waiting, watching, and preparing for the day when the stars would need protectors once more.